Hi, I'm delighted to welcome Estie Starr onto our show today. Estie is an award-winning business consultant, genius marketing strategist, avid speaker, and founder of both Strand Consulting and Better Business School. Estie's speciality is in guiding small businesses to build reliable marketing machines to reach their 100K years, months, and even days. Estie built her own business to seven figures profit without spending a dime on ads while raising five kids, and she truly believes that you too can do what you love and buckets of money and have time to enjoy your life and family. Estie is a real powerhouse. I've had the pleasure of working and partnering with her. Estie, it's fantastic to have you on the show today.
I'm so excited to be here.
So I want to start off by asking you, where did your entrepreneurial journey start?
I have been an entrepreneur since I was a kid.
Wow.
I started my first profitable business at 10 years old, selling what we called then Mexican name bracelets, which are string bracelets that you can embed your name in. And I sold it in my elementary school, I sold it in summer camp, and I sold it through advertisements that I made myself that I put out in the local sewing store. I seem to have been a little bit born this way.
Were your family entrepreneurs?
Kind of. My dad is a broker. My mom had a job, so her not at all. But my dad is a diamond dealer as far back as I can remember. So kind of, but it's different. I've never done, that's not true. I've done pretty much every type of business category myself and also with clients. I did do brokerage briefly. I worked as a business broker for, I don't know, 6 months to a year. I've done it with a few clients as well. But other than business brokerage, I've not done brokerage.
So I'd love to hear, even at that early age, what were some of the lessons that you learned? Do you remember?
Hmm. So I am also very naturally orderly. I made real order forms to track things for people. There was also a competitive marketplace. There was another friend in our class who knew how to make these bracelets as well. And so learning what it meant to position yourself in the marketplace, learning how to differentiate my offer from the other offers, um, learning about capacity. All right. So as these got more and more popular, and then I think my friends stopped making them and I kept making them, I got overloaded. I had a wait list. I collected a bunch of money and then I was like, I don't know if I can do this. My parents were like, you're going to make every single bracelet that you took money for. So I learned a lot of important business lessons from that early one.
Okay, so that's fantastic. And let's just fast forward to a little bit later in your life. So as you went through school and you headed to the other side of your of school, what did you manage to kind of continue that entrepreneurial journey, or did you kind of segue into other stuff? What happened after that?
So interestingly, have done, I did both for a very long time. I was 10 when I started my first business. I was 16 when I had my first real job. I worked in a art supply store teaching painting classes. I'm also very creative, very crafty. Hence the first business was making my own craft. I then ran a business in high school that got me into business school on full scholarship. And then I did a gap year program in Jerusalem and bought into fundamentalist religion. And instead of doing a joint program between business school and fashion, which had been my original plan, I went all into business and marketing, ended up working in a Jewish leadership training organization, always having side hustles, always. Like I always had a few, everything from medical billing to teaching my own hip hop dance classes, hairstyling. Like I've always had a couple of things running on the side, but I had full-time jobs until around 2011. I had been working as the CIO of a multinational nonprofit at the time with my little side hustles. And I had this crazy dream at the time. So we're about 2 years out of the 2008 recession. And I just kept seeing all these people in my community who didn't have the education, didn't have training, and were earning minimum wage with all of these business dreams and things they wanted to do and no idea how to execute them. I'd be sitting at a cafe and overhear two ladies next to me talking like, "Oh my God, you're so talented. You sell your cupcakes for $1. It'd be an amazing business." Always in those voices. And I was sitting there going like, I can help you. I went to business school. I have a degree in marketing. Everything I touch turns to money. I just know how to do this. I was born this way and I honed the skill. I could help. And at the time, I had three little kids. I now have five less little kids. At the time, had a husband who was studying to be a rabbi, who is now not my husband, and a couple life changes. At the time, I was a young mom with three little kids, sole provider of my growing family, with a crazy business dream. And fast forward a little bit, I ended up leaving that job because it became toxic. I ended up starting my own company, which in the beginning was just me. Like, I was just me. My company was just me in the beginning. And it took a whole lot of years, a move across continents, now in Los Angeles. And I grew it to, we had 22 people on staff on six continents and 10 time zones from LA to Hong Kong. So it's definitely been quite a journey. And I know what it looks like on both sides. I was an employee for over a decade, but I've now been unemployed, if you will,
Employed or
for
unemployable?
I both. I don't know if I'm employable anymore at this point. Um, since 2011. So yeah, about 15 years doing this full time. Never had an unprofitable month. I made more money and less money, but I've
Mm.
never been unprofitable,
I know.
even when I had my team was 22 people. So
So you started. I'm interested to go to the very hear about the very beginning of this because um, you started presumably on your own,
I
and
did.
and at some point, successful businesses realize that it's not just about they can't do everything on their own. So
No, so I had a really interesting start with it. I became a certified coach in 2009. That's a very long time ago. That is before coaching was a thing.
mm,
When I became a coach, there were like five of us. It was like nobody was a coach. And I did it because I really wanted to help people. I
yeah,
have clocked well over 10,000 hours of therapy for myself in receiving. And I want to tell people, but I didn't want to be a therapist. Felt that I was a little too empathic. I was concerned that I would get stuck in other people's pain. And I heard about coaching and I was like, oh, this is brilliant, right? I can help people without having to dive into their pain, right? To me, the difference between therapy and coaching is if you're here, therapy says, all right, you're sitting on all of this garbage. Let's dig, let's clean it out and make this a nicer place to be.
yeah,
Coaching says, listen, I know you're sitting on garbage, but that's beyond my pay grade. So we're going to look at who you are and where you want to go. And acknowledging that there's stuff under there, we're going to do what we can to get you there.
yeah,
All right. And if you need cleaning, we'll send you to a cleaner. That's fine. And then my job.
yeah.
And I went, became a certified coach, and I started coaching on the side. My early iterations of this business, I had no idea what it was going to be. I was an organizational and financial coach. I helped people manage their budgets, manage their finances, organize their houses. I was just good at it. But like, why not?
Yeah.
Didn't pay any attention to my marketing degree, didn't pay any attention to my business stuff. I was still employed at the time. So I was doing this on the side. Then when I left my job and started doing it full time, the first iteration of my business, of this company that, became so many different things, was called SBS, Strategic Business Systems. And people were like, Estie, it sounds like a technology company. I'm like, well, I was just a CIO of a multinational nonprofit. It is business systems. Like, yeah, but you mostly like you're really good at marketing. Yeah. Well, like, so why isn't it a marketing company? And there were so many iterations, but from the beginning, when I was just me, I always looked for partners to
Mm,
work with. One of my early clients who stayed with me for over 9 years became my client because before I had an office, I would do meetings out at cafes.
mm,
I was sitting at a cafe, meeting a potential, I guess, partner, you would call it, who owned a graphic design and printing company because I wanted to make sure I had a network of people so I could serve my clients with all the things they would need. And a woman, a table or two over, overheard our conversation, comes over. She's like, do you help businesses? It's like, yeah. She's like, my husband's about to start a business. I'm going to have him call you. He became my client for 9 years, helped him launch his first location, opened a fitness center, and then helped him grow that, launch his second location, launch certification. We worked together for a very long time, earned him a whole lot of money. And I built out a network of external partners. That was how I did consulting. And then slowly, I didn't hire my first internal full time team member. It's probably about 4 or 5 years in business
mm.
before I hired full time internally. And then it was another few years until we didn't have 22, we had 22 people on the team in 2019. I started in 2011.
Yeah.
So that's 7 years until we really were built out fully.
So tell me about your external partners. How did you collaborate with them?
I would bring them in per client. So I would meet people, I would vet them.
Yeah.
And if I liked them and I felt that they were a good fit, I would look for what engagements I could bring them in on. A lot of
Mm.
people don't realize in small business, they think they have to bring everything in-house. You do
Yeah.
everything in-house. And again, the marketplace is so different now. This is 2011. Okay.
Yeah.
There was like no Fiverr. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Now you can
Yeah.
just hire contractors. It's easy. These were strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
And I got messed over plenty. Let me tell you, I didn't just learn in business school proper. I learned in the school of hard knocks. One of my first partners was a graphic design printing company. And I made sure to vet them, right? So I looked at all the materials they produced. I was like, wow, these are really high quality. The design aesthetic's good. And my degree's in marketing and advertising communications.
Mm.
So the visuals, the graphics, the languaging, all of it. My degree is in that.
Yeah.
And I have a natural skill with it. This guy looked solid.
Mm.
Had a client who needed graphic design skills. We needed to do a rebrand, upgrade the logo. I bring in this partner, and everything he makes is terrible. Like, I don't under what did you do with the human who created all the things that you showed me when I vetted you? Turns out this is a true story. This guy had a partner. So there were two partners who owned this print shop graphic design company. And then they split up, and nobody told me. And the partner I met was the one who was mostly in charge of the printing part. And the guy who used to do all the graphic design is the partner who left. And the partner who stayed, the one who had been mostly in charge of printing, was like, how hard is graphic design, anyways? Put things here. Oh, I can do this. And he was terrible. And I didn't find that when I finally kept digging, and I was like, how is it that you cannot make the things like the other things you showed me? He's like, well, my partner made those. Where's your partner? Well, he left last year.
Right. How do you avoid those situations? Like this is a major question for our listeners is that partnering sounds like a great idea, right? I can't do everything, and nor should I. But at the same time, there's also this fear of putting your reputation on the line and working, collaborating with people who then let you down. So what can you do to avoid those situations?
Great question. I have learned since then a few things. One, I never put my name on a partner that I haven't tested personally.
Right.
So I'm very careful to recommend, promote, bring on people with full transparency to the client, right? Hey, I think we should bring this person in. Here are some of the samples of what they've shown me they created. This is what I can expect from them. Feel free to vet them yourself and let me know if you want them to work with us. Right.
Yeah.
Again, if I've worked with them, I can say different. But if they're new, I'll be fully transparent. I won't ever vouch for someone that I can't actually vouch for.
So that
So
means you
that really
wouldn't you wouldn't
helps.
white label them until you've tested.
No, and I'll test most people internally.
Yeah.
So recently, I decided that I wanted to start creating marketing materials for my clients again. So the history of the company is like this. I started as an independent coach, consultant, whatever, having
Mm.
these external partners that I brought in to do projects. Then started building out my own internal team, which then turned into not only a full consultancy, but a full marketing agency. Right? We had our team of 22. It was not just consultants and admin. It was marketers, project managers, graphic designers, web developers, copywriters, because there was no chat
Mm.
in those days. I had a full stack developer on the team. We built apps and APIs and integrations. We did outdoor media. We did social media integration, implementation. We did paid ads. We did everything.
Mm.
During COVID, I shut that part of the company down, kept the consultancy and the online business school that we launched around 2018, 2019. And so I haven't had my own agency. I guess we're going to almost 5 years now. It's been a long time. And I have been the last 5 years just sending clients out through referral. Right? Saying, hey, we've worked with this person before, we worked with that person before, we'll work with your person, we'll help oversee it. And we help take care of it. Recently, with the business school, I saw that just teaching my people how to do it and helping them oversee their people wasn't giving them as much as I wanted to. Right? For me, I can build a website in an hour in my sleep and it's great. Right? For them, they're bringing on these people and we're trying to manage them. It was making me crazy. Like, okay, let me see if I could bring this in house again, but simpler. I don't want to build out an entire team again. I want to do it simpler. And so I did some research, found some people, and I've been testing building sites for some of my students on me. So I hired someone. I said, okay, all right, we're going to do a test site. I told the student, I said, listen, this is a test. I'm not going to charge you for it. I don't have any idea what it's going to look like. You'll be the guinea pig. And if you hate it, we'll erase it.
Mm.
And so I'm testing it on me. First trial was terrible. Hated it. Not using that person. We're now on our next trial. Found a very reputable company. Looks like it's going to be a great synergy. Looked at samples of their work. But I'm going to go out to my students and clients and say, hey, listen, this is where it's at. This is the company. These are their samples. You now know as much as I do. I think this is worth a shot. This is what it's going to cost to try it.
Mm.
And so
Okay.
that's how I do it. I
Okay.
test as much as I can internally. I communicate fully transparently
Yeah.
with the clients.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you. What do you think is what do you think is the advantage of, that there are people who like to build an agency where they have everyone on their team with specialisms, as opposed to working with partners? Why do you think it's better to, or do you think it's a better system to have partners, and why?
I think it really depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
So again, in my early years, it was all external partnerships. I didn't have the volume
Mm.
to support a team.
Yeah.
And so it didn't make any sense. So I had commission deals with the partners. Sometimes I had not even white label deals,
Yeah.
but I could charge what I wanted and the partners would charge me a certain amount.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the volume to sustain a team, that's fantastic, right? That's a great way to start. It's a great way to get your feet wet. Then, as I started building up and I started having more and more steady agency type work, my consulting clients kept saying, okay, great. I love my plan. Now I need someone to make the things. Estie, can you make the things?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll bring in this person. First, I hired internal part time designer, then internal part time copywriter. And then I kept giving them more and more work until we had a steady enough volume to bring them in full time. Once you have full time employees, two things happen, right? One, your profit margins are obviously much bigger than when you have external partners, but
Mm.
also there's this pressure to keep the business coming in
Yeah.
because you've got these full-time employees. And so I did have both sides. My motto has always been more money, less headache. That was the tagline of the original company. We had three different companies operating circa
Mm.
2020. We had the full consultancy, we had the online business school, and we had the full agency. And
Yeah.
I sat down and I looked at the numbers and I looked at the work, and the business school, the consulting, that was more money, less headache.
Mm.
The agency arm, that was more money, more headache. It earned money. It was profitable. Don't get me wrong. It didn't earn as much as the other two.
Yeah.
And it was so much more headache. And I looked at it and I said, listen, my super specialty is strategy. I can turn anything into money. I could take anyone into their 100K years, months, days. I know what it looks like. I know how to do it. There are lots of people that can make pretty websites.
Right.
I don't need to do this.
Right.
My turning point was somewhere mid 2020. Our servers got hit with the worst malware infestation imaginable.
Mm.
It not only got, so we had our own servers, right, to host all the websites that we were building for people. And one of the project managers, or it was the client, we're not even sure. Someone made like a very dumb, easy password, right?
Mm.
Like password 123, like something really stupid that any hacker would hack with like the lightest of programs. And they got into that website, which got them into all the different servers because we hadn't had them like in secure buckets. So much had changed in the web development world in the 10 years that I was in it.
Mm.
We ended up having malware not only in the website, in the backups.
Oh
And I
my
had to go
God.
back to all of our clients. And they're like, well, can't you just restore from the backup? I'm like, let me explain. Imagine that we had a gated community with all of your websites. They're all houses, right? All your website houses are in our gated community. And someone dropped sticky tape over all your houses. And then that sticky tape also got underground into your backup houses.
Yeah.
And we had to rebuild everything from scratch,
Yeah.
which I paid for. And then I decided that I don't really want to do this anymore. I was going to have to do too much, learn too much, maintain too
Right.
much. We still have some legacy sites that we host and some legacy clients that we support in that way. And beyond that, I let the people who spend day, night, and afternoon understanding the latest in website technology, deal with all of the technicalities, and I deal with the strategy, the design, the execution.
Yeah. I could not agree more. I think that I think that clients are very, very happy that you have your specialism. And if they have another requirement like a website, they feel very happy that you recommend somebody else and don't say to them, I could do everything. I don't think clients expect you to be the master of everything. They expect you
No,
to
I don't
master
think it's
one thing very
necessary.
well.
And the difference is also your average web design company isn't a marketing strategist, right?
Yeah.
They make pretty websites. That's what
Yeah.
they do, right? People say to me, so then why do I need your help? I said, well, do you want your website to earn you money? Because that's not their job. If you ask them, their job is just to make the websites.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure it earns you money.
Yeah.
Different thing.
Okay. So we've discussed partnerships in terms of it, how, from a functional point of view, enables to run your business a lot better. But now I want to talk to you about partnerships as a vehicle to actually grow your business. You have built your business without spending a fortune on advertising or spending any money on advertising at all. So,
No ads.
so your business must have grown somewhere or somehow. Um, who, how did you bring in to help you to do that? Let's talk about those partners.
When I started out, I would speak for different nonprofits and
Mhm.
for-profit organizations, but a lot of nonprofits. I generated a lot of my leads and built my reputation that way. Somewhere, I want to say around 2017-ish, late 2017, I started getting into LinkedIn and built a very strong reputation on LinkedIn. I also then dabbled in Instagram a little bit. Instagram also was nice, but LinkedIn is where I
Yeah.
really built a home base. To this day, we are, I think, in our 8th year running. I co-host the LinkedIn Influencer Summit every year, which I co-founded with a
Right.
colleague of mine.
Right.
So LinkedIn has been my home base. So we got a lot of people that way. And then, is it a year or two ago now? You and I started working together on JVs. I tried doing JVs before I met you. It was a disaster. And this is not paid promotion, people. Danny's awesome. I tried JVs on my own. We couldn't get the people to show up. The sales, like the whole, it was just a mess. It was just very messy. Around 2021, I kind of dropped. Oh, I also launched a podcast in 2018. I ran that for 4.5 years. So that was also a thing that we did. People misunderstand. Not having paid ads doesn't mean you don't pay for anything. It just means I don't pay aggregate advertisers to advertise. I've not put ads in magazines. I've not done digital ads on Meta or any of those. I've paid for other things like podcast management and deployment, things like that, but I've done all organic and guerrilla marketing. So about 1 or 2 years ago, when I had been off of socials for a while, I discontinued the podcast. I was like, well, I don't really want to go back on social. I don't really want to pay for ads. That doesn't sound like fun. Um, and I hadn't been traveling and speaking as much because I wanted to be present more for my children, especially post-divorce, really creating stability for them. And so we started doing
And
JVs, and I
yeah,
love it.
and it was just after the pandemic, so people weren't, traveling and speaking as much.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's why I wasn't going anywhere. I forgot about that. Yeah, but even during COVID, I started doing a lot of online summits and seminars. I was
Mm.
traveling at my computer. And then once people started going back in person, I was like, I like it in my house. I don't need to leave my office. I'm good here. So, yeah, I like the JVs. I found it to be a really wonderful way to get exposure, get in front of a lot of the right people. It's a very high leverage strategy, and it's a win-win for everybody.
So let's talk a little bit about through JVs. What how can you make it work? Because there's a lot of skepticism about JV partnerships. People don't show up for me. People don't give the results they said they would give. Uh, sorry, I thought there was some background noise.
I think similar to everything else, a lot of people somehow remember that they're human in most of their life. And then they step into business or marketing or social media or JV, or they put some kind of label on this thing and they forget that they're a person and they forget that they're a person dealing with people. If you are looking to do a JV partnership, stands for a joint venture partnership, look for a partner that you would want to partner with, like someone that you'd actually want to know, someone that you'd be willing to introduce to others,
Yeah.
actually in real life, someone that you think would know the kind of people you would like to be introduced to. Then build relationships. And then you still have to follow up. If you're hosting a potluck dinner, yeah, let's pretend that the JV thing is like a potluck dinner for a second, because I've done those. You know, if you just put out one message one time, 6 months in advance, hey, anyone want to do potluck dinner in January? Yeah, sure, me. Okay, that sounds fun. Yeah, I'd love to. And then you send them nothing for 6 months. And then the week before, you're like, everybody, you're coming to potluck dinner, right? What are you making? What are you bringing? What are you doing? Everyone's like, oh, what's wrong with you? People just forget to be human, right?
Mm.
Let everyone know 6 months to save the date. Let them know in 5 months to get excited. You're going to do all these cool things at the dinner party. Let them know in 4 months what you're making. Let them know, like, get on top of it. And then a month before, get really, hey guys, everyone's ready for the date. We're having the dinner. You ready to bring all your people? Ready to do all the things? Okay, cool. And I think it's also important. So that's just on the partnership level.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people misunderstand also what you can do through a JV partnership. The same way people misunderstand what you can do through paid ads. Right? A
Yeah.
lot of people will run paid ads if they're not doing it properly professionally. They don't lead it back into a sales path,
Mm.
right? They try to just sell something from it, which if you don't have a known e-commerce brand or a really sticky e-commerce brand, so it could be known or it could be sticky, those are two different things, the chances of you running paid ads straight to sale are almost zero. And so the chances of you running JV promotion straight to sale of anything more than a few dollars, again, unless you're really well known or really sticky, are zero. You
Yeah.
have to know what you can actually reasonably expect from people,
Got
right?
it.
Your JV partners or your friends coming to the potluck dinner, but what you're asking them to do is bring a whole bunch of their friends. And then you're not only asking them to bring a whole bunch of their friends, then you're trying to ask their friends to pay. This better be a very exciting dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's what we're talking about here is very clear signposting, but it's also that people don't get the message until they're told again and again and again and again. And I see that myself actually. I get invited to communal events, like my local synagogue, for example, be running something. They never send out one reminder. They send out about six or seven about an event that's coming up.
Yes.
And I remember myself, for example, organizing fundraising events, how to get people to turn up to something, we had to put out emails and Facebook posts and call people and SMS people and then it starts to cut through.
Yeah. People
And
also get caught on the tactics and
mm,
they don't realize how fast the world is moving.
yeah.
So I've been in the digital marketing space now since 2018 successfully.
Mm,
I was in it unsuccessfully before that, but I've been successful in it since somewhere around the end of 2018. And I can tell you, there have been huge shifts. So if you have ever learned Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point and the bell curve of the, like, innovators, early adopters, late adopt no, innovators, something, early adopters, late adopters. I don't remember, stragglers. We are very much coming into the late adopter phase of a lot of these things, but those people think they're the early adopters. I don't recognize how saturated the market has become. They're learning from the early adopters. So let's give you an example. The trend of webinars. I've been doing webinars successfully since 2017. That's a very long time. In the beginning, people didn't know what Zoom was. They didn't understand how they could watch a training online. This is long before COVID. My first really successful 100K online program that earned me 100K profit in the first 6 months was in 2019, pre-COVID. When we were in that game that early, we ran webinars, we had 50, 60, 70% show up rates. That was standard. Now, market standard is under 30%. We have really good show up rates on ours. We have 25 to 30% show up. I have a lot of people in the industry, they have 10% show up. That means 100 people sign up, 10 come. Those are really different numbers. The game has changed. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that because they get a training from the people who were running webinars back when
Yeah.
You were getting 60, 70% show up rates, and then they run them and they get 10 people who are like, it's broken. A little bit, yes, but also gotta understand it's changed a lot and it keeps changing. And these are just tactics. That's why strategy is so important. The fundamentals, the principles are so important. The principles are make a great party, do it again and again. People will show up. Let people know the party's happening. Remind them the party's happening. Let them get excited. Let it be something that's actually exciting to them. One of the things that I've been teaching for years is you should be a tricks box, not a cornflakes box. I was a staff director in a summer camp. This is like 25 years ago. And in our little staff cabin, we had food, as you do. And two of the cereals I had Trix and I had cornflakes. And the both boxes were right next to each other, opened and kind of sealed up in the same way. And one day I remember coming into the bunkhouse and I just see this trail of ants. And they're not the tiny ants. Okay. And you're like the little cute ones that you're like, oh, you're cute, squash, now you're dead. They weren't those. They were like the big, bulbous, like giant, like blown up ants. And they were just marching up and down the Trix box, right? Up and in and out and up and in and out. And right next to the Trix box is a cornflakes box. None of the ants wanted the cornflakes. So many people try to do their marketing and their JVs. It doesn't matter if you're doing paid ads or JVs, or it doesn't matter. You need to be a Trix box. That's a foundational principle. If you're showing up as cornflakes and you're like, but none of the ants like me, that's right, because you're cornflakes. So sorry. You're not going to get ants. Maybe grandmas. That's a stereotype.
Okay, so you've illustrated, I think, very clearly the importance of strategy, and I would add to that. I think that's the other side of partnerships, which is that you need to be talking a lot more to your partners to find out what they're doing that's working. Because
Mm.
I see partners who get really low sharp rates on webinars and live events, and I see other partners who, like yourself, who are getting amazing results. And I think the partners there's the dollars and cents that you're making in terms of partnerships together. But there's also the practical side of partnerships where you actually need to be talking to your partners and asking each other what works. What are you doing right now that is really cutting through? And I think a lot of partners don't spend enough time outside promotions, just having a sit down and say, "Hey, what are you up to? What's really working? What can we learn from each other?" Um, I want to ask you about another aspect of partnerships, which is actually having being in a state of readiness to do them in the first place. Because
Mm.
I've also seen a lot of partners promote me who, you know, they want to they say, hey, let's run a campaign, but it's very clear that they're not JV ready. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Totally. When we started, I didn't realize that I wasn't JV ready because I was like, all right, cool. I've got this great course. I've been running since 2019. It's fantastic. We're going to partner with a bunch of people. They're going to send us leads, and then I'm going to put a bunch of people into the course. And it's amazing, and everybody loves it. And it was a disaster. It did not work at all. Mind you, in 2019, that totally worked. In 2019, I would get together with partners, I would host online trainings. We would put a bunch of people into the training program. They would learn all about marketing strategy. They would improve their business. Everybody won. And then 22, 3 is when we started doing JVs. And I was like, cool, let's do that thing again. I got the program, I got the webinar, and we went out and we got partners and I did the thing. And like 2 people bought it. I was like, I don't know what just happened. The thing broke. To be JV ready is a couple of things. One, you can't just take something old that used to work and try to sell it to new people. That's probably not going to happen. First of all, it's old and the world changed. Second of all, these are very lukewarm leads you're getting. If you're not warming them up or you're not doing something to make them much stronger prospects, the chances of a JV partner sending you someone and then that person buying something from you the first time they interact with you is basically zero. That's what the world is now. What we had to do to be JV ready was a couple of things. One, reactivate my own email list. And I'd been very sporadically interacting with my list. And again, I look at everything as a human interaction. So email stands for electronic mail. That's all they are. These are electronic letters that we're sending. And instead of going from sporadic interaction, I had to go for more steady interaction, right? Regularly interacting with the list. And interacting does not mean only talking at, it means talking to and with. So
Mm.
engaging my list, asking them questions, listening to their answers, reread every single email that people write back to us. So building a list, engaging with the list, having an actual audience. And again, I had a very big audience on social. It's still there. Might visit it again sometime in the near future. And then it's having an actual path that is appealing to people today.
Mm.
And so when we really cracked our JV strategy, I first tested it internally. Every offer I do, because I already have a list now, 25,000 people ish and counting, we first introduce things to our internal list. Because if your own people aren't going to buy something from you, strangers are definitely not going to buy it. And so
Yeah.
the first thing we did when we tested our new offers, we made them much cheaper and more compelling, and we tested them internally. And until we got something that tested positive and worked internally, we didn't use it to external audiences.
Yeah.
And so that's another big piece. And you have to be ready to promote your partners, right? Either to most JV partners, some of them want payment, some of them want promotion, some of them want both. You need to be ready to know how you're going to, what kind of potluck party are you going to have? How are you going to be playing nicely with others?
Yeah.
And you need to have the bandwidth to actually engage in this as a strategy, right? It's not something where you, again, send out one invite once and then hope people show up. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Save the date, remind them, invite them, make it exciting. Make sure you're a tricks box and it's something people want to be part of. Make sure that there's something rewarding on the other side, that the offer lands.
Yeah.
All of the pieces need to work. And I think a lot of people don't recognize how many pieces to that puzzle there are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think you describe that beautifully. That before you enter a JV partnership, it's making sure you've got a responsive list, you've got a responsive offer, and then there's also tech. I wonder if you, I know you're a little bit of a tech nerd, so I think
I'm super tech nerd.
I'd love you to talk about that.
Um, well, you want to have as much of this automated as possible. And if you are doing anything with payments, you need to be affiliate tracking.
Mm.
If you're only doing what we call partner swaps, which some people do, right? I'll promote you if you promote me. I'll let my people know you exist. If you let your people know I exist, then that's easy to track, right? You introduced your people to me. I introduced my people to you. Cool. If you're doing anything with payments, you need affiliate tracking software set up. There are a lot of different options. Some of them you can embed within the different software you're using for other things. Some of them you can't. Some of them are external. You need to figure out what kind of tech you're using and how you're tracking. And it's not that it's overly complicated. It's just something you need to get done. And you also want to have a tech system in place that can operate at volume. So it's one thing to get a few referrals. It's another thing to get, I think one of our last launches had 4,000 new people. Right? It's another thing to track 4,000 new people. That's a lot. And so you want your tech in place for tracking if the partners that supported you are actually helping you. Because it's also no fun to work with someone and have no idea if it's worked. I've sat with so many companies, large and small. Okay, I've sat with companies doing in the multiple seven figures and eight figures in revenue, and they have no idea which parts of their marketing are actually earning them money. And I have clients who are spending thousands of dollars in paid ads each month, not including what they're paying the companies that run the ads, have no idea if they're actually generating sales. And when they go to the company, right, the marketing agency that's doing the ad, the agency says, that's not our job. Our job is not to earn you money. Our job is to bring you leads.
Mm.
We have brought you leads. See, look, leads. And then the client says, okay, but which of these turns into clients? And the agency says, not my job. That's my job. That's what I come and do. So I come and stitch the system together and say, okay, that particular, I'm thinking of a specific example, turns out that he was paying about $1,500 a lead.
So
It was a lot. Yes.
what's your view? I often get approached by partners who say to me, "What tech system should I use? Go high level, Thrivecart, uh, uh, Infusionsoft. So that's not called. It's called Kartra, whatever. Well, how do you respond to people who are kind of get quite fixed on a particular tech system?
I first say, what do you already have set up?
Mm,
Right. So first look at what they already have. A lot of people are just testing this as a strategy,
yeah,
and they don't need to build out an entire ecosystem to test it.
yeah,
And so first look at what they have. And if whatever they already have has tracking in it, great. Then we activate whatever they already have again, whether it's ClickFunnels or Go High Level or Kartra. I think Kajabi might have even added affiliates. Circle now has affiliate tracking. A lot of people already have some sort of tech that has the option for affiliate tracking. If
yeah.
that's the case, even if it's not ideal, we'll just activate that because
Got
we're
it.
just testing it as a strategy. If they have nothing, then I would look to find the simplest way to create trackable links. Right? And sometimes that's just using a bit.ly link. Sometimes it is getting something like a Thrive card. Sometimes it is moving to a new tech ecosystem temporarily or to test it out, or something like Go High Level or Kartra or any of these
Yeah,
will work, but not rebuilding everything in it. A
yeah,
lot of people will just, they'll migrate their entire universe only to discover that this isn't what they want to do. So they've
yeah,
just spent all that time, energy for nothing. So level one, look at your existing tech. It might already have what you need. Level two, look at the simplest add-on if the tech you have doesn't already do what you need. Um, and sometimes that add-on, if you don't, so the only reason you would not do the add-on is if you don't have any funnels or any functional pages at all, and you need to build the whole thing.
yeah,
Right. So some people at level one already have most of it, and they just need to activate that additional piece.
yeah,
Some people have most of it, but they can't activate it, they can add it on. And then
yeah.
some people have none of it. So then we'll choose an ecosystem that makes the most sense for them to dabble with and use that.
Got it. Got it. That's a great answer. Esty, if our audience would like to find out more about you, where can they go? And do you have a tool? Do you have a freebie? Do you have a something coming up that you can send their guests to?
Sure, I do have a fun freebie. It's free for now. If you go to estiestar.com/free gift, you will see our 3-day marketing success challenge temporarily available for free. I'll probably be going back behind a paywall again in the near future and getting updated. But ESTIESTARR.com/free gift, which I believe you can spell. And 3-day marketing success challenge gives you the clarity and strategy to market yourself successfully. The new updates are going to include also how to get your breakthrough messaging, the current trainings have everything from how to get the leads, how to make the sales, how to do your sales pitch. There's a whole lot of really fun stuff in there. And stsr.com/free gift. Have fun. And once that leaves, just so you know, there's always something fun at free gift. So if you hear this podcast at a later date, that link will still work. There'll still be something cool and free. It just might not be the 3-day marketing success challenge.
That's amazing. Esty, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It has been, as ever, an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.